and this video will be the first of a series that I want to do on getting this lathe set up and brought online running parts.
What are you talking about? This is the second video. So dumb.
So I bought this machine used, it was out in California, and Gossinger went and checked it out, so I had a report on it, and just kind of on a whim decided to pull the trigger on it. So it's
We've heard this before.
2007 Okuma LT200-MY, 8-axis lathe, so 2 spindles, 2 turrets, both turrets have live tools, and the upper turret has a Y-axis. VDI 30 machine. Never run one of these before. I have an Okuma mill, and I've ran several Okuma machines, but nothing like this. I've run a couple dual turret machines. None of it had any cam involved, very minor programming on it. Any programming was done by hand. So this is going to be a bit of an adventure. Today I'm going to be leveling it, but then later on you get to see kind of hooking up the coolant system, getting that all flushed out, bringing in new coolant, setting up a new chuck, trying to figure out the cam post-processor on it, just kind of getting projects going on it, lining tool holders and things. So if you wanted to follow me along as we go, I think this will be a pretty awesome and helpful series. Alright, so this is what we are going to use for leveling the lathe. This will actually put the levels on. Since it is a 12 position turret and sitting at the angle that it's at, if you look there, the top of the turret itself isn't flat. So we need something to level that out for us. So I believe it's CNCreplacementparts.com has is yeah, there we go. CNCreplacementparts.com. It's this plate. Here's the plate, 8x8, and all these different adapters. So you put these together, and then it mounts in one of your tool holders, and you can level it based on that. So, and there's, these are adapters for all different sizes of tool pockets and turrets. I think we're going to wind up using this one because most of our holders are for a 3/4 shank. So, yeah. All right, we're ready to start pulling the chip conveyor and the coolant tray out. So, have fun watching me figure this out. I guess I could have moved this stuff out of the way before I started filming. Alright, now we'll start moving the chip conveyor out of the way. So it's got these little flaps on the inside where the conveyor slides in to kind of take up the gap, and you have to make sure that those pull up above the conveyor, or else they'll catch and you could possibly bend them, and that's not a good time. So I'm gonna go grab a screwdriver and so I can hold it out of the way and not crush my fingers. Maybe I'll show you guys quick on plating here. So, go down in here. Yeah. So, this guy right here is a flap, kind of like this one. Goes up and down, so it kind of seals against the chip conveyor. That's getting caught on the rubber here, which should keep me from pulling it all the way out. So that's what you see me working on. Yeah, I mean, we're put right there. Well, there's not much room here between the mill and the lathe, so I can show you. This is kind of what we're going to leave it at, and then I could just work between the chip conveyor and the lathe itself. Yeah, so that's up. Next step, figuring out what wrench sizes. I know one of the, I believe it's the nut, is the same size as one of the wrenches for the feet on the mill. I need to find out what the other one is. So, let's figure out what drive we need for leveling those feet. Wrap this around it. Now let's take the caliper and measure it. This is ultra precision. And we got about, so it's 35.87, so I'm guessing that's a 36. So, let me go around and get that socket. Alright, so got the wrenches and everything, chip conveyor out of the way. Next I want to see what the leveling feet are already at. Because I don't want like the fronts to be all the way up on the bolt and the rears to be all the way down, kind of be off like that. So take a look at the fronts. Can you see anything? There we go. So if you look relatively, kind of seems there's definitely more thread on the bottom than the top. So to bring the machine down more than up. Ideally, you want to lift the machine. Like I know on Haas machines it says you want it to be a certain distance off the ground so you don't get too rickety. But my thought, especially with clearance issues with the chip conveyor, you got to make sure that it's at least at a certain height. The manual doesn't give me a spec for that, so as long as we can, we're just going to opt to move the machine up rather than down. So that's where that one's sitting. Let's go check out the back. Alright. So, crouched down here. And the back actually looks like it's higher than the front. So I think when we go to adjust these, we'll actually drop the back down. I know leveling procedures also say to lift up to avoid, I guess to keep pressure down on the feet, but I think we might have to go down a little bit back here before we can go back up. So that's the scenario with the feet over there. Next we're going to throw the leveling plate on and then see where things are at with that, and we'll get moving on actually adjusting. Alright, so let's talk about where we're going to put the leveling plate, because in the Okuma manual leaves much to be desired on leveling procedure. I think they want you to have someone come in and do it for you, which makes sense, but I got a quote for that and it was certainly steeper than I'm willing to pay at this point in time at least. So you know, so the options are put the leveling plate. Well, first things first, let's talk about machine position. I know like with milling machines it says to rough level your machine with the x-axis centered and the y-axis centered. So I can only assume with a lathe it's kind of the same thing. Maybe move your turret to the center of your travel in X and Z, but this machine has two turrets and it has a W-axis, which is the spindle, and so I don't know, would it make sense that you bring them both to center? I don't know about that. Maybe you know, having two of them evens it out, so we'll leave them all the way maximized at their present travel. This is kind of what I'm thinking. But the other question is, do I put the leveling plate on the top turret or the bottom turret? Not sure that it matters too much. Putting on the bottom turret would certainly give me better visibility. I'm leaning towards the top turret though, just because, you know, machines that don't have two turrets only have an upper. So I feel like that's the place you should naturally do it. And if you, let me pull this down, sorry, covering that. But if you look in here and look at that turret position, if you aim it down, this is like hanging off of the casting. So I don't know, it seems strange to me to put the leveling plate on something that's hanging off of the casting rather than is directly over it. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do the upper turret, but that causes some visibility problems. You know, people do it with other machines, so I think it should work out fine. We'll see. I'm gonna install it, and if it think it's gonna suck, then we'll swap it. Either way, I think at the end of the process, I need to swap the turrets just to check the twist. So stay tuned. All right, so let's jog this around and see where we want to put it. So on the Okuma control, go over to manual. We'll make sure we're on the A turret. And this doesn't matter so much, we're gonna be working over here. We'll go on the left side spindle. And then we have turret, counterclockwise and clockwise. So we'll press that. We're all the way up in our X, so that should be able to swing around no problem. And I have one dual pocket station, so that way if we put it here, then it'll hang out this way and be able to see stuff better. Otherwise, the other option is putting it here, facing in. Man, that would give me so much better visibility. I don't know. Maybe I should do it that way. I think it just feels right to put it on this one because that's on like the A turret and on the main spindle. It can be used for either spindle, but it's by the main spindle. I think that's just why it feels better to put there. It's gonna bother me if I put it on the other one, I think, just because it doesn't seem right. We'll try for this one. Alright, so decided to actually go the bottom turret just because of visibility. So we're gonna level it off the bottom and then confirm it with the top. Next, one thing I want to make sure, because I do plan on bar feeding this, if this is held slanted like that, that's gonna be a problem. So I'm gonna put an indicator on here and just measure this against the travel. And if this needs to shift at all, then we'll go ahead and shim it or do something to take care of that. Alright, so make sure we stuck the indicator to the A turret. And then we have that 0, not that plate. So let's jog this along the Z and see what happens. Ooh. So that's a problem. Yeah. Then we get a different indicator, but we're gonna have to definitely tram this in. Alright, so I got it set up on the A turret now, but as you still see, when I drag the turret over, we're moving quite a bit on the indicator. So, how am I going to deal with this? Well, I think I'm going to loosen up the VDI tool holder and see if I could push it one way or another with that. I know these, I've had them in and out, the fit on them is kind of strange, so I'm going to have to do some learning on that, but I think that there's some wiggle room there for me to get this set up in a manner that would work better. So, I'm going to try that out and I'll let you know. Alright, update. So, it's higher here than it is here. I've tried flipping this, still does the same thing. I've tried flipping this, still does the same thing, so it's not anything here. It's got something to do with my tool holder. I loosened that and I was able to shift it a little bit, but I wasn't able to move it enough. I'm trying to think, I could try a different tool holder, or maybe shims or something like that, I don't know. I'm trying to get it figured out. Yeah, this might take me a little bit. Alright guys, so I figured out something that's gonna get this working for me. So before, set this loose, push this thing all the way in, gets the back of the pocket, tighten it down, and we're having a little bit of depth. So, what I'm doing in place of that now is I kind of pushed it, picture it that way, So the bottom here isn't touching the back of the pocket, the top here is. And that made it go completely the other way. So now I'm able to loosen this guy a little bit. I'm just gonna keep tapping it in until we're level all the way across. So, just to kind of show you where we're at, before we had about 60 valve travel across the whole thing. Now we're probably at about 20, so we're getting better. Alright, so I want to show you the changes that we're seeing. Right now we're sitting on the high side. And I'll drag this over. You can see needle's moving much slower. We're at 0, so we're at 15 thou from one side to the next. Out here is where we're going to see the difference when we're tapping it. So, let's see. We'll just tap that a bit and watch the needle move. So that brought it down from 15 to 10. Jog it and see where that puts us. Getting closer, that moved us about 5 thou. So give it another couple of taps. Alright, now that's saying 5. Sitting at like 7 or 8. Getting a lot closer. We're at there now like 4. Close. I think I'm going to switch back over to the other indicator, tighten things up a little bit so adjustments aren't going in, so adjustments aren't so drastic. And we'll get this, yeah, we'll have this thing dialed in pretty quick here. Alright, now we have the 1/10,000th indicator in. It's at about 0. So let's jog this thing. Right, and we see it dropping about 2 thousandths. A little tighter on the wrench here. Just tap, tap, tap. Get this re-zeroed. I would call that pretty good. Jog it back. Right now we're about 1.5 tenths, 1/10. Okay, so we're 1/10 above. There is 0.0012, so we're off by 1/1000th of an inch across the whole thing. We kind of need to get this dead nuts because They're supposed to be what you're supposed to use, half thou across 12-inch scales. So if you're introducing this amount of variation just on the platform that you're measuring off of, that's an issue. So check more. Let's see where that brings us. So you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm going to finish getting this squared up, and then we'll put the level in here and we'll start leveling. Alright, so check it out. I think we've got it. Goes up a little, then right back to 0. So in the center we've got like 2/10 off, so that's pretty damn good. We're at 0 on both sides, so I'm happy with that. We'll throw a level on there, and we'll see where we are. Alright, so to calibrate a level, you have to find a surface there, well, that's somewhat square for it. Check this way. Yeah, see, not this one either. So, they say to put a shim on one side. Actually, we can calibrate this on the mill. That might make more sense. The mill is pretty level. Alright, so we're going to use the mill to calibrate the level because this thing is already level. I'll show you why that matters. So we go over by the lathe, calibrate a level by putting it on a repeatable level surface, seeing where the bubble is, and then you flip it, and so we'll flip it here and see if it winds up in the same spot. But it only works if it's something level enough to hold this bubble in the middle. So we know going front to back of the machine, we're not level enough to see. If we stick it on this way, we're also not level enough from left to right. So we need something else to dial this in on. So stick it on the mill here, which I leveled this and then haven't checked it again since I moved it, so we'll see where it's at. Okay, so if we look here, we're like right on that guy. Maybe look over here, we're a little bit past it. Flip it. Wait for it to settle. That settles. You see, we're not right on that line. We're a little bit off. So these came with a Allen wrench here. So then you adjust that, and this is very close, but you adjust that by turning that Allen screw right there. So I'll actually just get this sitting in here. Hard to do this with just one hand. We'll get this sitting inside the screw. There we go. And then we can do find adjust. We want to push the bubble a little to the right. So I turn the screw a little, let's see what happens. I think it moved the direction opposite what I wanted. Yep, definitely. Keep giving it just a little bit. So I think that was square before, and we're split almost to the middle. Let's see where we sit now. So took the Allen key out. Let's just make sure that doesn't move. And I'm gonna say that's pretty close to the center. Wait for this to balance out. Look at that. That's pretty good. I think that's definitely within the margin of error here. So we're gonna roll with that. Alright, so another thing I need to confirm is, does the weight from the level throw off the squareness, which I can tell you right away it does, because you can see that shift, just the level going on and off. So one thing I want to know first is there a place, well, because I'm going to have to switch this from one way to another, that it's pretty repeatable. So here we're at what, 2/10 or 3/10. If I shift it to there, we're at about 3.5. Alright, so if I come all the way out, that moves it even more. So this is kind of tricky. So I just run it centered on the plate, it brings it down to 4. If I go a little to the left, it'll bring it to 3. That doesn't matter so much, because I'm just looking, when it's this way, I'm just looking at that. The question is, when I pick it up and put it back, I'm just going to keep it centered on there. You know, and we'll say I'll keep this edge to that edge. Is that going to be repeatable? So 4/10. Three and a half. 3.5. I think it's gonna be good. So when I turn the 90, it's not gonna matter, but when I flip it back, we're confirming that's just gonna be fine. So now we just gotta see if we could square it, because with the level on it, it matters. So press the whole thing. We're at 1 thou there, coming back this way. We're at half a thou. So I just gotta work that out of that. So before, this is what the feet look like. So we got one over there. I don't know if you can see it. One here, and one here. So we're gonna pick up these middle ones, go around the back, pick those up too, so we're only sitting on the outside feet. We'll level it based on those 4, and then we'll start to take the twist out with these inside ones. So yeah, that should be fun. So now if we look here, try to get the picture. There we go. The bubble's on the right, which means that we are high on the right side. So we're going to start by picking up on the left outer 2 leveling feet. Now you get to watch me crawl around everywhere. Alright, have fun watching. Use another less accurate level, so it's gonna make that table tilt a little more, so when we do our final measuring we have to pull this off, but it'll make it so I don't have to keep flipping the level around as we're going front to back, side to side. And I already calibrated this one earlier. Here. They look really cute going on there. So I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but the bubble's pretty centered there as far as rough leveling. We're right on the big line here, we're 2 off over here. This one's way to the back, so the back's high. So I'm gonna start cranking up on the front too. So based on where this one is, I'll start on the right hand side. Here we go. So here's the rough level, just the outer feet. Right on the edge of those two, right inside the bigger ones. Turn it 90. See where this ends out. Kind of right there. It's a little off. I had to recalibrate the level just to make sure we're still doing stuff kosher. But yeah, as far as front and back goes, it's not nearly as critical as left and right. So level's got to be a little bit off because there it looks great. This way is a tiny bit off. Oh, that looks pretty great. Check it both ways on this one. Spray on those two lines a little bit to the right. This one's a little bit to the left. So I think gotta tweak the level a little bit, reconfirm that that's calibrated correctly, but we're right there. Yeah, I gotta recalibrate the level. Alright, so we got it rough leveled. If you look here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show that well. But it's pretty well balanced on those. But if we jog the A turret over, and we check back, bubble shifted slightly. So we'll jog this one back, we'll jog the B over to the left and see what happens. Shifted kind of the opposite way. So if we jog the A up to the other side, check it. And hey, we're back on center again. So what that's telling me is when the A turret goes that way and this guy's this way, we're sinking over here, so the bubble's going up here. The same, if the A turret's that way and B turret's that way, we're sinking here and the bubble goes up here. And when we do bring this one over and that one over, it levels itself out. That's kind of interesting. So now we're gonna mess with the inner feet to try and get that little bit of twist out there. So I think to start, we're gonna leave this guy here. I'm gonna bring this guy back, and we're gonna put some pressure on these two right inner feet and see if we can get that little bit of twist out of there. Now I think when they set up, they'll put a bar on here and measure twist using that. I'm not sure. This is how we're gonna handle this for now, and then if we need to improve on it later, we will. So, alright, so when I had this turret over to the right and the upper turret over to the right, everything was level. Well, hold on, everything was level when they were each to their own side. So the bottom to the right, top to the left. And I brought the top to the right, it moved the bubble a little bit to the left, telling me the right needs to go up. So I thought, okay, since it's level when it's just on the outer feet and everything's positioned, I should just adjust the inner feet. So I adjusted the right inner. Well, when that happened, it moved the bubble further left, which was a surprise. So I went and then just raised the outer feet on the right, and that got it level when it was over there. And then, and I had pressure on the inner feet. So I brought both these turrets to the left, and then bubble shifted again. So now I'm putting pressure on the left inner feet, and it's adjusting out. I got a little bit more to go. Yeah, so I need to go up on the left inner feet a little bit more, and then I'll square that out. And then I already jogged this one to the right, and it stayed where it was. That was killer. So I think just a couple more adjustments, and this thing's going to be dialed in for, well, as far as I can take it. So, yeah. Alright, let's do one last check. I think I got it. So, each turret at their, we'll call it home, lower at the left, upper at the right, or lower at the right, upper at the left. See, it's perfectly centered there. Next we'll jog the lower to the middle, and we'll jog the upper around. So that's about half the travel. Watch it level out. Go again, well between the two. Upper turret. About half the travel. Again between the two. Upper turret all the way to the right. Between, lower to the left without crashing it. There we go. I don't know if you can see it, but it's pretty well centered. Now we'll bring the upper back to the middle. Still well centered. Upper all the way to the left. We're pretty good. Maybe one more tweak, but I think we got it. Alright, so we've got it pretty well dialed in. Just gonna tighten up the jam nuts and make sure everything still stays fine, and then we'll be set for this. Thanks for watching.